you.
She's alive! Alive!
I am Dracula.
Greetings and welcome to Monster Manor. This is episode 2. We have a very exciting guest for you tonight, Alan Ostrander from AEO Studios in Central Florida. I've known Alan for several years. His reputation, though, precedes that by a few decades. So I would like to bring Alan on now. He's a fantastic guy. I hope you'll enjoy him. So without further ado, Alan Ostrander.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scott. It's great to see you.
Very good to see you, my friend. We knew each other in a prior life, pre New Kids on the Block reunion tour, which is what we're calling this pandemic that we're in.
Right.
But it's good to see you here, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful and happy to be here and a part of Monster Manor.
Yes, this is the Manor, and we're glad to have you here as well. So, we met a few years back, but I knew of your work well before that. But take us back in time, if you will. Tell us what kind of got you into doing monster makeup and what sparked that interest.
Bad luck? No. Well, I have actually, monsters and special effects were not my first interest growing up. But I have always been interested in the arts, theater, performing, film, and I actually started my career when I was 10 years old, performing professionally, doing magic and clowning and juggling. And ever since, I've just kind of run the gamut of doing a little bit of everything. I got into theater and makeup in my teens, and then really got into makeup and special effects, and that's become my life.
Wow. So you say that you got into theater. What was your first role in theaters? What type of projects did you do back then?
Um, we had some small community theaters here in Orlando. I kind of grew up on the Civic Theater stage and Theater 1304. I think one of my first legitimate shows was Biloxi Blues. Uh, Arnold Epstein from Queens Boulevard, New York, when I was about 17. And I love the arts and film and performing, whether it's on stage, backstage, anyway. It's fun
Well,
affecting people somehow.
yes.
I love whether they laugh, cry, scream. Of course, screaming is the most fun with the haunted
Yeah.
attractions.
So,
Um,
you getting into special effects, that was kind of a natural thing then if you were in the theater, because a lot of people think that, there's always someone there to do your makeup in the theater. But quite honestly, most of the theater jobs, you do your own makeup, which is kind of one reason that Lon Chaney was so adept at doing makeup, because he started out in the theater, obviously, and in film, but it was just natural for him to do his own makeup. Was that similar in your case?
yeah, very much so. That's how I progressed into makeup and doing makeup and effects full time. It started off playing, doing clown makeup on myself. I learned at a very early age to use proper makeup products. White shoe polish does not make a good clown white foundation. I found out when I was about 10 or 11. Um, but it's a natural progression. And also, my background in magic has helped a lot because a lot of things that we do with special effects and theater, it all goes back to the same concepts. So everything's all tied together.
Wow, right. I can totally relate to that. So as you transitioned in your early career and began doing that, because I know that you were a part of something that was very big in Central Florida in the early 90s that was called Terror on Church Street. It was the
Yes.
first year-round haunt for those who didn't know. It opened up, I believe, right around the same time the Fright Nights. Then it was called at Universal, but it was year-round. What was it like, and to be a part of that, and how did you get hooked up with that situation?
It was, to say it was a life changing experience, it was more than that. I actually got my degree in business administration um, because the college had no real arts program and had gone into the business world. And I did that for about 2 years, 9 to 5, collecting a good salary right out of college, but hated it. Terror on Church Street opened on my birthday, November 9th, 1991. I walked out of my corporate job and went and auditioned. Believe I really scared the director at the time. A lot of energy. I wanted it. And I started there, and it was an 8 year run. We
Mhm.
were the largest permanent haunted attraction in the United States at the time, and it was amazing. We ran every night of the year except Christmas Eve, and very quickly we started getting many accolades in the haunted industry as almost setting the bar of haunted attractions, which was wonderful, and we were very glad for that. But we were also surprised and puzzled because none of us were haunt and horror people. And I think that was
Really?
the key to terror. We all came from a theater background. And so we were just doing another show. The actors just happened to be dead. Um, and after I was there a few months, I was made the head character and makeup designer. And we had an incredible director, David Clevenger, who's still directing theater locally. I learned all kinds of things from him. And it was a cast that in any other place, they never would have talked to each other, probably fighting and hating each other.
Mhm.
We had every walk of life in the cast, but we all had something in common of loving the show and wanting to scare people. So we had the skinhead sitting next to the drag queens, and it was an incredible family. The show has been, unfortunately, it closed due to downtown development with the
Mhm.
city of Orlando, and that's been almost 20 years. But
Yeah.
many of us still keep in touch. The attraction still has very much a legacy,
Mhm.
uh, and it was something scary, something fun.
Well, I know without Terror on Church Street, there may not have been some of the other things that popped up in the area in the time since. There was Skull Kingdom, there were other haunted attractions in Old Town and stuff like that that happened since. And it kind of set the bar for that type of attraction.
It it really did. It was a very scary show, but our emphasis was on the performing. It was an actor-driven show. We did not use animatronics hardly at all. We did not rely on them. It was the first type of horror experience where you were immersed in the story.
Mm,
Um, we were very particular and specific on just like Disney's model. When you're in the show, you never saw anything that you were not supposed to.
mm.
Uh, we affected all the senses, from uh, things tactile to sensory, visual, and that really made it the key. We actually had very little blood or gore. People swore that we did. They would come out talking about all this bloody room, and I'd just be laughing because there was maybe a little bit of blood on one wall, but it was all implied and in their mind. That's what made it scary. It's something that I've loved studying and watching over the years is the psychology of fear and
Mm.
what does affect people and what hits their buttons.
And did you have any idea when you were working on that, the impact that that was going to have, not only in Orlando, but on your life as a whole?
Not at all. When I first jumped into it, I had no idea what I was doing career wise. As I said, just I literally walked out one day of
Yeah.
the office and I said, "Nope, that's it." And fortunately, I did get hired on at Terror, um,
Mm.
and it was an incredible training and playground because I had about 24 actors a night every night of the year and almost total creative freedom on all the makeup. So
Wow.
I got to play and test because I am primarily self taught. Um, Growing up in my late teens, we used to have a store here in Orlando, Paramount, which
Oh,
became
yeah.
Magic Lanes Theatrical. Um, and I started hanging out there when I was about 14, driving everyone crazy until they hired me. Uh, but totally forgot where I was going with that. Uh, but it was a great testing ground. And I
Yeah.
was able to find out what works, what doesn't,
So
and
you
being
really did
from
have no, it was because it was hard back then, especially unless you knew the right person, people kept so many secrets back then. Dick Smith was like the pioneer in actually sharing what he learned, but a lot of the people were very kind of,
yes.
sealed lips as far as that went.
And unfortunately, many still are, and
Mm,
that's something I hate about this industry. Because we're all in it together and we're all learning new things every day. I was very fortunate when I was working at Magellaine's, about 17. Wonderful effects artist Rick Gonzalez
mhm.
moved up to Central Florida and basically let me sweep the floors for a couple years in his shop. And I learned everything I could. And he was an incredible mentor and really uh, led my way into this career.
Right, right. Now, you and I have, I would say, similar backgrounds as far as that goes, because we're about the same age, and we also knew Rick Gonzalez and Michael Davey and
Maybe.
Alan Duckworth, probably all the same
Mhm.
people. Um, it was a good tight community. I do wish in many ways that we could get back to that,
Yeah.
because I do believe, like when we spoke last, iron sharpens iron. And if you're not so afraid about sharing ideas and helping someone else, you kind of both learn. And nothing teaches me like if I can teach someone something and them do it better than me, and then all of a sudden I'll go back to them and say, how did you do that? That was
Yeah.
amazing. So the iron sharpening iron is, I'd like to see that come back a little bit more.
I would too. And like here at AEO, I loved when we had our art jams, and we're trying to get that back again. We're about once a month we would open up the shop to any artist that came over, and the only rule was you had to paint something. It could be a
Mhm.
prop, someone else, anything. and we all see what everyone is doing and learn from each other, and that's what makes it fun. We're not all competition. Um, that's why I was very fortunate and happy when I was working overseas that uh, I was able to bring a lot of makeup artists locally from here and kind of tighten up that community again and get everyone talking and working together. Oh, there's one. That
Yeah,
would be
actually,
Ocean Park, Hong Kong.
yeah, that's what I actually wanted to segue to was Ocean Park. I mean, what was it like, and how did you get involved with them? How did that happen?
That was a it was an amazing experience. Um, After Terror closed, or just before, we formed AEO Studios here to help support Terror as far as fabricating foam latex and supplies.
Mm,
And with our company, I would do all the large trade shows. We always did Transworld in Chicago. And we talked to a couple very nice people there from over in Hong Kong that were thinking about Halloween. It was probably a 10-minute conversation.
mhm.
Didn't hear from them again until a week before Halloween. They called on a Friday that year, said, "Can you be in Hong Kong Monday?" And I said, "Okay, sure." Uh, they had they were familiar with, unbeknownst to me, they were familiar with my work before they met us at the show. They had been through Terror and done their research, and it was a beautiful theme park in Hong Kong, Ocean Park. It's one of the largest in Asia, and they wanted to follow the model of like Universal's Fright Nights, Halloween Horror Nights there.
Mhm.
But the big challenge was that Halloween had never been celebrated there as a Western holiday.
Right.
Hong Kong had no idea what Halloween was. So myself and another artist went over that first year. It was a fairly small show. I think we ran 2 or 3 weekends, and I was the makeup designer for the cast. It went over very well to
Mhm.
the point of the second year when we were invited back. Everyone in Hong Kong came. Uh,
Wow.
the Halloween Bash was the name of the show. And actually, within 3 years, we surpassed Chinese New Year as the largest grossing holiday for the park. And it
Wow.
was amazing watching the growth of the holiday as people embraced it. Um, After a couple of years in working with the park, my role expanded to where I took over the entire Halloween bash, directing it at one point, and then I was show director and talent director all through. Um, and what I thought was a 2 week job turned into 13 years, actually earning me the moniker of Hong Kong's father of Halloween in the press.
Wow.
My last year there was 2013, and the event had grown to where we had over 500 performers a night doing a daytime and nighttime show. 13, I'm sorry, 8 haunted houses, 13 stage shows, all in Cantonese, which I don't speak. Uh, so it was about time after that. But it was an incredible experience, and every year we got to bring over about 9 or 10 local makeup artists from Central Florida, mostly. Some I pulled from other places in the country,
Mhm.
and then we would hire another 30 or 40 local Hong Kong makeup students to help complement, um, because we did have such a large cast. It was
Mhm.
a huge show, and it was definitely a challenge because it's a very different culture.
Mhm.
And when I mentioned about how I enjoy learning what makes people afraid, I had to totally relearn it over there. I
Yeah.
I do a lot of lecturing and talking at the trade shows now about this, Um, yeah, chainsaws and clowns. You throw those in another country, and they look at them and go, "Okay, they're not scary." You toss Freddy Krueger, that they don't know who he is. So it's like, okay, it's an ugly burnt guy. Um, so I had to go in with my team and really learn as much as we could of the local cultures, the local flavors, folklores, what what really frightened them. And then what made the event a success was melding the two,
Mm.
using our haunt techniques of impacts and the scare surprises and weaving that in with their local characters. We actually had, I believe it was the first year, some of our roving characters. It was a Chinese bride and groom that were deceased, and they were not scary, but very iconic. It was just a white face with red circles. And their performers came back in the tent, and they were all upset and crying. And the actress had bruises on her. And we trying to figure out what's going. The guests were throwing rocks at them,
Wow. Oh,
and I immediately assumed teenagers, unruly. No, these were adults, and it wasn't out of maliciousness. They were truly afraid because they had never seen any live incarnation of the folklore and the customs. So yeah, the audience was being educated as well, and
yeah.
it was quite an experience. I got to do a lot of teaching over there as well with makeup schools. Um, the last year I was there, we got to have the first ever Hong Kong special effects makeup symposium. And I was fortunate enough to be asked to be the keynote speaker and kick that off. Um, and because the makeup industry was growing over there as well
Mm.
as the haunt, and it still is.
Wow.
But
That's quite an impact.
it was an incredible experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Probably the last 7 or 8 years I was there, I was living there about 6 months out of the year. I had an incredible team. Joel Talico from Moonhowler Productions, designing attractions, and it was a scary show. We had a
Mm.
lot of fun.
Unreal. Well, I'm sure that was a huge prep for then coming back. And then where did you shift? I mean, after coming off of a gig like that, international and being away from home so often, then you come back. What does life look like for you then?
Well, it was nice to be a little more grounded, and to be back home with my partner, and uh, that's when I really focused on AEO here, because here in Orlando we have our production center where we fabricate all types of everything, props. But we also have a retail center. We're one of only two theatrical makeup stores here in Central Florida. So
Mhm.
I focused a lot getting back into the theater groups. We supply almost all the local theaters with all their makeup and effects supplies,
Mhm.
and focusing more on uh, getting back into film and stage. Uh, Theme parks around the world are all the same, share a lot in common. It's a wonderful gig, but after a while, you need a little break from the parks.
Mhm.
You know, as you well know, Florida is still slowly trying to climb back up on the film production.
Mhm.
Uh, our studio was actually located almost next door to a large school full sail recording studio for
Mhm.
film and TV. So we work with a lot of productions there with the students. I teach classes here in the workshop, here in the studio almost every weekend. Because as you know, it's difficult to learn this craft.
Oh yeah.
And I said I was very lucky. Someone took an interest in me. I love paying it forward. We tend to adopt our students. They'll take a class or two, and they end up not leaving,
Yeah.
and that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Um,
We do that as well.
yeah, you do.
They become your kids.
As long as they're interested and they want to be a part of it, you know, I'll give them whatever brain cells I have left.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what the legacy is about.
Well, and
I think
it's
we do have a
wonderful.
break coming up here pretty soon.
Okay.
We've got about 4 minutes. Oh, we're going to talk about Drew and brag on him a little bit.
Yes, Mr. Drew Delirier. He is our managing partner here at AEO. He is also my partner that he's been with me here for 20 years now, or 19 years. Um, he is also an actor director and was over in Hong Kong with me for many years, directing the shows and the actors. And we have a lot of fun. It's another day, another dead body.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a few little things there. That was a film last year uh, that we were tapped to make a silicone arm for this lovely little actress. She was a zombie whose arm kept falling off. Hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
And another local artist, JD Ellis, was doing the makeup and effects. And we do a lot of live casting here in the studio. Um, and we do a lot of work for other makeup artists just for that. They may be on set doing the applications,
Mhm.
but they may not have the facilities to fabricate things.
Mhm.
Like just yesterday, we had four full body corpses going out over to the Brevard Renaissance Fair to be tortured, full latex bodies that we made. Um, so we get some interesting looks from our neighbors here at the business complex.
I can imagine, but isn't it cathartic though?
I always told you back when we were at Terror, it was the best job ever because you left work so relaxed and no stress because you got it all out. You were
Yeah.
screaming and yelling at people all day, and you were able to vent anything. And
Then it's mellow sailing after that.
it was really
Great. Well, I know we're going to have a lot more to talk because the
yes.
second half hour, after we get back from our break with Boris, he's going to rant for a little while and get some stuff off his chest. When we come back, I'd like to get in a little bit more into you personally. And if we could talk about some of that stuff when we get back, that'll be interesting for everyone to hear about. But Boris, if you haven't met him, I got to do like a little prep intro. Boris has his own spin on things. I don't know if you caught the program last week.
Unfortunately, no. I was
Very interesting personality with this guy. So he's
I
not
can
for everyone, but we love him. He's family to the manor here. So we'll go ahead and take a break with him. So we got about 10 minutes for that segment. If you need to get some water or whatever you need to do. Then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more with Alan Ostrander from AEO Studios. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and introduce our friend Boris.
Hold on. Is what we on? Okay. Hello, everybody out there in the Facebook land. It's Boris again. He's sober this time. Sober, but he left the master at the Publix shopping, so this got to be quickie. He's gonna do what? Boris got something. Hold on. Yes, he bought it. I'm gonna put this away. What do you want Boris to do? Read the disclaimer. Backstory: Boris got a nasty email last week from Mr. and Mrs. Producer. Got to read disclaimer.
Read it, Boris.
You sure? You really read this?
You don't read it, you don't do your review.
That's blackmail. All right, Boris, read. Ahem. Disclaimer. Paraphrased. The things come out of Boris's mouth are not necessarily representative of the owners, producers, staff, writers, or people living in the Monster Manor. Boris's thoughts, reviews, everything come out of his mouth is own. Don't blame Scott Fenster post, Mrs. Fence post, or the little Fence post for the product or the stuff. If you don't like the review, that's your problem. That's between you, Boris, not you and what's his nuts over there, okay? So he read it. Can you do the review now? Stój się, mój łysnika. Got to put everything away. Fine. Now he lost this thing. Where'd he put it? Anyway. It's a magic chair to eat the thing. Alright, here we go. Ta-da! Boris looked disheveled. Anyway, this week Boris found this at the Dollar Tree and decided to go ranting what, Peter Griffin got grinding the gears. Well, this is stuck in Boris's craw. What's stuck in Boris' craw? These CDs, these compilation. Well, he blocked the thing because they may not give permission. Anyways, this is called Monster Mash and other crappy songs by a bunch of people you probably don't know because it's all staff, studio artists. You find these things in the Dollar Tree, the Spirit Halloween, the Walmart and the Tarjays, and it's around Halloween time. And normally it's, garbage for the kids to buy. They got songs on the Halloween like the Monster Mash, the Ghostbusters, the Addams Family, this spooky song. And you spend about $10, $12 on this thing. And you send it home, and then the parents listen to this over and over and over and over. Right? You parents, you listen over and over. You got kids, and I hear that come in to get the disclaimer. I hear Monster Mash, Monster Mash. Yes, it's Monster Mash. Anyway, this is a scam. You can download this crap off YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in the Monster Mash, burn it on MP3, burn on CD, burn on your iPod, iPhone, iPod, Android, semi-droid, the replicant, whatever you got. Burn it on there, and then you give it to the kid, and you give the little Beat headphones or the knockoff Beats with the BETS, and say, listen to that in the corner, mom and dad want the day drink. This is garbage. Okay, got Monster Mash by Bobby Pickett, who has only one song, probably Monster Mash, and nobody ever know what the Monster Mash is. Is it potatoes? Is it the dance? Whatever. And all everybody ever knows, whatever happened to my Transylvania Swiss. That's the only line everybody ever seen. And they did the mash, whatever. Then you got like Ghostbusters. Fun fact about Ghostbusters, Ray Parker Jr., if you listen to Ghostbusters and Huey Lewis in the News, I Got the New Drug, is the same song. You know why? Up until Ray Parker Jr. got hired to do the Ghostbusters, they were using I Have a New Drug, I Want a New Drug, as a placeholder for the sound because they wanted Huey Lewis in the News to write the soundtrack, but he got swiped up by, Back to the Future. So they settled for $5 million. It's true. Look on the Google. $5 million, and Huey Lewis had to keep his mouth shut, but he did. He behind the music, blabbed, and Ray Parker Jr. sued him. So that's why Ghostbusters sound like Huey Lewis in the News. Then you got Halloween theme song. Okay, that's another one Borders don't like. Why? Sound like John Carpenter blew through a whole movie budget, and then 10 minutes later realized, got to make a theme song. Well, can't hire anybody, got $30 left. I got the Casio. So you sit there in front of the Casio, stare at the Casio. They got nothing to do. And he goes, beep, 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 beep. And then they just make that song over and over, beep, 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 beep. And then, the wife like, hey, John, What wifey? You know, you need something else. And then the cat jump on the lower keys. And he's like, I got this one. Ta-da. You know, they got the Addams Family. One of the most repetitive. You know, that's what the heck's that? Creepy, spooky, mysterious. What's Ookie? Brothers know what the Wookie is, but not the Ookie. You know, and then, you know, we're not go there. Then you got the Monster theme song. Not bad. Then you got Twilight Zone. Another repeat. That's to make you want to say, don't care about the show, just get the stupid theme song off. And then we got the Blob. Blob's not going to ruin it for you. Just search the Blob. Not the movie, but the theme song. It got a nice saxophone in it. Why are you waving? We good? Okay, don't look at me that way. They're looking at Boris like his pants are down. No. Anyway, these things stink. This is garbage that you buy your kids. It's like buying a kid, you know, Christmas presents from the Dollar Tree with, you know, Sam Claus on them. Don't buy no Sam Claus. Don't buy this. Go on this, do on the laptop or the iPhone, download and put it on thing. Go look, and then print out the nice label, say spooky crap for kids and hand it to them. Don't spend $10 on this. This is crap. You do garbage. Remember, Boris tell you this, not the Monster Manor people. So if you're the maker of this, maybe you call Monster Manor and say, hey, why don't you play this on the show when that dummy Boris not around? But anyway, don't buy compilation. It's like, you know, that's what I call Spooky Movie 1 or Spooky Movie 2. It's just, yeah. And what's the one we talk about? The Mummy. Look up Mummy. By, what was the name? The whatever. He's standing at Boris like Boris spit on him. Bob something. And I do some search for Mummy. And again, another saxophone song from 50s. Really? The Shuffling Mummy got the saxophone song. But Frankenstein, well, he got the Edgar Winter trios. That's a good one. You know, put the Edgar Winter group on your compilation. Teach the kids some real music rather than the stupid Monster Mash. And today, actually tomorrow, is Living Highlander Betty White birthday. She survived 99 years by stealing the quick ending of other dead celebrities. And then, you know, her and Keith Richards going to meet at the gathering.
Today, Michael, not tomorrow.
What's the Michael?
I'm sorry, Boris.
That's fine. Just to break the fourth wall. That's good. It's tomorrow. We look it up. It's the 17th. This is the 16th. Again, Google. You're going to be my friend, Google. But, you know, she want to call Mike Boris Mike. That's fine. Professionalism in this thing. Maybe you need disclaimer. Read the script next time, lady. So this has been Boris's Stuck in the Craw, and happy birthday
No, I meant check your mic.
to Living Methuselah. It's somewhere. Boris lost it probably. But anyway, it's been the Boris Review, and happy birthday to Living Methuselah, Betty White. Come back next week when we're going to maybe find out which of the classic monsters is going to survive in the fist fight. Till that time, this is Boris signing off, and I got to go pick up the master from Publix where he finished his shopping. The button.
Well,
And this would think of you stupid disclaimer. Leave it
we're
now.
gonna need that next week.
Smell it to me.
I don't know what you did.
I'm going to go throw trash on your lawn.
Bye, Boris.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna get some hate mail, or should I say, Boris is gonna get some hate mail from that. I like the Monster Mash.
I do too.
It may be overplayed, but I mean, geez, it's like that was Halloween for a generation. Well, you know, he's an interesting personality, but we do have him here for his color, shall we say, perspective on things. So it's a little skewed. It's a little skewed. So anyway, we're talking with Alan Ostrander from AEO Studios. We thank you again for joining us, Alan. The first part of the hour, we talked a lot about your history and some of the things you're working on. So, what's Alan doing now? What's your big day to day now? I know that we're all under extreme situations with this 2020 and now so far 2021. But what's a day look like for you now?
Well, it definitely has been a very challenging year for all of the arts. Um, we were very lucky that um, with all of my career, uh, the the biggest success has been in diversification of not doing solely makeup. We do props, scenic painting, all types of things. We have our retail shop here. Um, so between all of it, I've been able to stay quite busy, and it's one of the things that I love about this industry uh, and my job. It's something different every day. Um, a few months ago, we were able to get a production up we didn't think would happen because of COVID. Uh, that was 40, maybe 8 to 11 year olds doing Alice in Wonderland on stage. And that was a challenge this year because they were all masked. And I melded the prosthetics onto those, but we made it work. Um, so we have been easing back into live theater. I think this coming year, uh, if things get better quickly, uh, it is going to be a very busy year. Everyone's ready to get back out there. Right now, we are in pre-production for two feature films. Excuse me. Planning on going up in the spring and summer next year. Lots of blood and guts, which seems to be my specialty. That's what we get called for. Uh, whenever and the same for theater. I've become known as the blood guy in town here. If they need to make vomit fly across the stage or kill everyone in a show, we get the calls. I'm pretty much always stained with blood, actually.
Yeah.
Um, but that's really what we're doing is just trying to prepare as best we can for the coming year and things getting busier. Um, we are also working on plans. One of my large goals is to get a very good, scary seasonal haunt open here in Central Florida. Uh, Trying to create something almost on the level of what we had of Terror, but starting on a seasonal basis. So if there are any investors out there that like Halloween, we're always looking for backers because we can use it here in Orlando. You know, we have the theme parks, and there are some great small local haunts, but not that many, and people love it. So we're hoping to get more back into our own haunts. Um, I also do a lot of teaching, uh, not just in the studio here, but I've worked for Manor Makeup for about 20 years. I help head up their educational theater department. Uh, so just a few weeks ago, we did Michigan State Thespian Festival, where I do workshops and teach the kids how to do effects for stage. Of course, everything now is virtual, which is quite different, but we're making that work. Next weekend is the Central Florida Film Festival. I have a couple of projects in that we worked on last year. Um, and not all blood and guts. A heartwarming story and a slasher supernatural film. So a little something of everything. But
Both sides of the
really
pole.
keep busy. Um, we have our online platforms. We work with haunted attractions all over the world, supplying props and pieces. I also travel, do a lot of consulting with haunts, and try to help make sure that they have the best show they can.
Mhm.
That's pretty much what we're up to here.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's at least you're staying busy. You're able to stay busy, and through the diversification and evolution, I think that's the only way that we can make it in something like this. It's unprecedented. I am very hopeful that 2021 is going to change a lot and hopefully get us all back to work. But that's awesome that you've stayed so busy and continued to educate and be a part of the theater, which is very, very important. Funding gets cut first for all those frivolous things. However, those are what inspire people. So I'm glad you're able to continue that legacy.
And listen, it's a lot, and uh, it keeps me motivated because it
Mhm.
is something different every day. Uh, my job is anything but mundane,
Yeah,
as you can relate.
yeah, it keeps you hopping sometimes. Um, Shifting gears a little bit, because I promised this part of the interview I did want to find out a little bit about what made you tick. So aside from all the blood and gore, um, what are your favorite movies to watch?
I am not actually a huge horror aficionado. Um, I got into the special effects more just because of the career and the artistry, and it's something I enjoy. But for my own entertainment, growing up, I love suspense films. Uh, I grew up on Hitchcock and Vincent Price, where everything was implied and you didn't necessarily see the blood and gore.
Mhm.
I've always been fascinated by that psychology uh, of what scares people. But my true love is musical theater and the stage. Um, Unfortunately, I do not perform musical theater as I sing in the key of off. Um, but if I can't get on stage performing, then we'll help doing something backstage and teach them how to do it.
Mhm.
I've done everything from working as a drag performer in clubs to being a dancing eyeball at an optometrist convention. Uh, Anything to keep from waiting tables through the years.
I
Uh,
don't think we got a picture. I'm gonna have to have you
uh,
send me a picture of that dancing eyeball thing.
I was the last mascot character I ever did. I was like, no, that's it.
It sounds interesting.
Oh, that was actually one of our cast parties and award shows in Hong Kong at Ocean Park. And I was emceeing, and I always surprised the cast every year by doing something a little outrageous. So that was half man, half woman. Um, I have an old character that was born at Terror on Church Street, Roach, which has traveled the world. He's a disgusting little old monk that chews cockroaches and spits them on people. Uh,
Mm,
it was funny last week. One of the Facebook groups that was, if you remember, if you grew up in Central Florida, and someone put a picture up there of me as Roach with
yes.
them at about 9 years old. Uh, and
Well,
yeah,
Roach was a very iconic character. That was, you went there to that attraction, and you were hoping you'd see Roach.
he was a character. Uh, and as I said, he's traveled the world. I was up on the Great Wall of China uh, as Roach and making balloon animals for kids. Uh, just as I said, I love affecting people,
Mm.
entertaining, um, and yeah, and make people think as well. Uh, just I don't know, just keep everyone
Well,
entertained. That was
speaking,
actually a character that was born in about 2 hours out of necessity in the Philippines um, for a promotion for Hong Kong. that something happened that I wasn't really supposed to be performing, and but we were short an actor, and I went through my case, found a prosthetic that worked, and that was the birth of the Party Monster, who has since appeared all over the world, and he's a fun party host, getting everybody into the mood. Uh,
Mhm.
it's definitely a wide range of characters that I've portrayed over the years. And I think that also has really helped me in the makeup and effects, and something I really push to all my students and recommend to anyone learning makeup: get it on yourself.
Oh
Wear the
yeah.
prosthetics. You have to know what it feels like to be able to put it on someone else. Uh,
I think that's one of the big things about makeup artists today, is that they have done the training, but they haven't really applied it on themselves, or even some cases had it applied to them. So I think you're dead on with that.
well, and it's so important for so many reasons, uh, from safety to comfort.
Mhm.
Uh, you have to be able to understand what they're describing,
Mhm.
uh, and and especially on film or theme park situations where they may be in heavy makeup for
Mhm.
7, 8, 10 hours. Uh, but
Yeah.
anyway, I didn't mean to segue back over there. Oh, that was fun. That was from a couple years ago. Uh, Body paint. That's over in Hong Kong doing a demon. Uh, the
Heavy,
body
heavy
paint
makeup
was
indeed.
base, our local body painting monthly event that happens here in Orlando, or was. Hopefully, we'll be starting up again. Um, as I love creating different characters, either for myself or for other performers, and it's always exciting to me to see an actor bring a makeup to life that I've applied on them. Because
Yeah.
many times I don't know what it will be like, the whole character, and they don't either until all those elements are tied together. Um, just like myself, the character of Roach I've done for over 20 years, but I can't do his voice unless I'm in makeup. I,
Right. That's when you
I've
kind of
tried so many
find the
times,
character.
I can't do it. But
Right.
the minute I look in the mirror, it's a character. That was one of the biggest challenges that we had overseas in Hong Kong as well to overcome, that I had to learn as a director, because uh, as a general, um, the Hong Kong culture and the Asian cultures, they're raised to be introverts. You are not spoken to first,
Mhm.
and it's all out of respect and honor to someone else. Well, performers, and especially horror and haunted, need to be just the opposite and very
Mhm.
outgoing. Um, and that was a little bit of a difficult thing to learn how to get them uh, to do that. Even though I was working with professional actors, they would still have issues, and we found the key to it was total separation. Once they got into costume and makeup, I never called them by their real name,
Mhm.
only the character name, and I try to keep them in that character as much as possible.
Right.
And so it was a totally separate person. It wasn't them. So the character could get away with a lot more and be crazy and not reflect on themselves.
Right.
And it was an interesting uh, process.
Yeah, that's excellent though that you were able to not only design these makeups and apply them, but impart that in the actors and kind of mentor them in that way. Because if they had no experience with Halloween prior to this, that could be quite a shock to them just by itself.
Sure. And also the proximity, because all of our actors were used to stage,
Mhm.
and now they're out in a theme park face to face with the guests, and everything that goes along with that. Knowing how to react, think quickly, keep yourself safe. Uh, it's uh, it's a lot, and I was very thankful, not just overseas, but on many of my shows, to have people like Drew with me, to work with the performers, other designers and performers that uh, have done it all themselves. They've been on stage themselves. They've done the roving, scary characters, so they know what to expect and can help the ones coming into it. It is that very fine line on horror of whether you are scary or offensive,
Yeah.
and it can be a tricky thing. So that's the
Sometimes
thing. We
you
never want to
that.
offend a guest.
Yeah, you have to push that envelope to make people uncomfortable in some situations, but
That's
But-
why I use a lot of comedy in what we do.
Yeah.
I love, well, Mr. Boris, who we just met. Yeah, wonderful. That's a wonderful Halloween character. I look forward to talking with him more.
Oh yeah,
But
he should
obviously
be
Halloween.
here every
Oh,
episode. We'll see. He might get tired of us before then, but we're hoping he'll punish himself for us a little bit. But we do want to get a couple of questions in that are totally unrelated, and I could talk to you forever. I mean, it's not only that we're colleagues and we've worked in the same field, but I like you as a person. I love you and Drew,
and vice versa.
I think that we could talk for way, way longer than the 1 hour. But, in kind of bringing you, a little bit of you out that people can see who you are, I'd like to throw some questions at you and see what your first response is, what your thought right off the cuff. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you imagine yourself doing? What would you be?
I honestly don't know. I uh, honestly, really, whatever I had to just to make a living, because anything
That would be
else,
sad, though.
exactly, anything else would not be my passion.
Yeah.
The arts and entertainment is my life.
Mine too, man. And okay, here's another one. What would your favorite beverage be?
Unfortunately, one of the casualties of 2020, Tab, which just now discontinuing. It was,
I
nobody
heard
even
that.
knows. It was the first diet soft drink for any of our younger viewers.
Yeah.
But I food and beverages, I give anything a try at least once, and I've had to, especially with traveling, working
Yeah.
over in Thailand and other places. I've eaten bugs and
Oh.
oh yeah.
Okay, that's going to be my next question. What's the most interesting thing you've ever eaten?
I would say over in Thailand working on a film. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. Tokyo. I was taken out to dinner, and my translator, as soon as the host was ordering the specialty of the house, started kicking me under the table and saying, no, no, no. Uh, I've never had sushi as raw as I had there. They brought out the fish, and it was still kicking and looking at you. Half of it had been filleted to eat as sashimi. And so he's staring at you as you're eating him. That was probably the strangest. But I managed to get a couple bites, yeah, out of respect.
Yes.
But yeah, that was tough.
I could imagine. And you don't want to be rude, but I mean, come on.
Exactly.
I'd consider you a monster kid still. So what's your favorite classic monster?
Favorite classic monster? I would say probably Frankenstein's monster. For some reason, I've just always, and I love almost every incarnation of him. It's so interesting to see all the different interpretations of the character. And I think one of the reasons I like him so much is again going back to it's not physically scary, it's not killing, it's more psychological.
Yeah.
You know, what are people
Very a
afraid?
lot of pathos in most of the productions that I see with Frankenstein.
Mhm.
Um, Finally, what is something you have never done in your career that you want to do?
I would love to get into some much larger scale animatronics and props.
Hmm.
Um, Thinking Stan Winston Jurassic Park type.
Oh wow.
I I love sculpting and fabricating. Um, I've done all types of things to humans, uh, but I would love to create some large creatures.
You want to
And
make more beasties.
I'm sorry,
You want to make more beasties, basically.
yes, uh,
Wow. Well,
some
I
big
can
alien
relate with that.
creature or something. This past Halloween, our uh, shop mascot and customer service department, Tofu the Chug, uh, we turned him into um, the eight-legged canine and made a big spider costume that fit on this little chug. With video coming soon.
Ah,
So I've always had a thing
so,
for different creatures and things like that.
so I got to see a video of that, and I got to see at least a photo of the big eye mascot. Um, Finally, and I can't believe we're already out of time with this,
Yeah.
but definitely want to have you back again in the future when things kind of open up a little bit. Maybe we do the art jam you were talking about, either
Sure.
here or your place, but just have that stream of consciousness, fun talking back and forth. Um, but finally, and um, what is something that not many people know about you that you would like to share with
Uh, hmm, Don't know if not many people know, but a couple I throw out. I am a native to Orlando. There's not many of us here anymore. I was born and raised here in Florida. I just try to get out as often as possible.
me?
Um, I would say most people do not know that, as I mentioned, my degree was in business administration. So I do have a bit of a business side as well as the artistic. Um, Everything else, you can pretty much find written on post office or police room walls or on my
Hope not.
Facebook page. Which actually on the Facebook page, the cover photo has about 20 different characters on it that I've done over the years on myself.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. So, well, if people want to see more about Alan Ostrander and, of course, AEO Studios, where would they find you?
oh, we're all over the web. Uh, Facebook, I'm sorry, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is all AEO Studios. Uh, IMDb for film work is Alan Ostrander. Um, and if you hit on any of those, they all link to the others. If anyone is local in town in Orlando, you're more than welcome to stop by the shop here. We're here every day except Monday. We keep old weird theater hours. And you can very easily track us down that way or right on our website, aeostudios.com.
Excellent, excellent. Well, yeah, I mean, you're one of the best shops in Orlando as far as that. It's such a throwback. And for me, I always loved going into the studio when I was more local to Orlando. It was just great to kind of get that feel from the 80s back. It's so different walking into your shop. So I do thank you personally for keeping that feeling alive in your shop. You can tell
Thank
that
you.
you have a great love for this stuff. But
And I need to get
again,
over and see your shop sometime.
what's that?
And I need to get over and see your shop sometime and play.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I love you guys, and I miss you a lot. It's been far too long since we've been able to see you in person.
Well, this year, 21, we're all going to start doing a lot more again together.
I hope so. But definitely plan on coming back. We have to do this again soon. To everyone else, thank you so much for joining us in on our very special second episode. The next one that we have coming up, guys, is a big one. It's the season 9 Face Off family that I was a part of. We've got everyone that's coming back to talk about our experiences and what we're doing now from season 9 of Face Off. So definitely 2 weeks. That's the 31st. Everyone come back and see us. It's already up on our page. So if you plan on coming by and seeing us, mark that you're going, mark that you like it, and share, because that's what's going to be important about this grassroots thing. I know we're over time, but hey, we're the boss, so it's okay. I apologize for Boris in advance. Great guy, but boy, does he have an interesting take on things, and we love him. Family. But anyway, come back, join us the next time. January 31st, am I right? And we will have the next episode 3 of Monster Manor. Thank you all. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.